Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for Modern Survivalist. In this video I'm going to be talking about the pandemic, the ongoing situation, and what's likely to happen not so far into the future. I also want to say that there's my Instagram, Fairfile308, where I keep on posting stuff almost daily, just, pretty much about everything, but all survival related. It's not just about knives, guns, and that sort of thing. Some of the more typical prepper stuff, but even family life, especially during the quarantine, cooking, which I take credit for, even though a lot of it is mostly my wife. So yeah. But that's, at least for me, that's also part of preparedness, and a quite important one as well, especially these days with the lockdowns, people in quarantine, more family life. You have to learn to stay positive and get along when everyone is in the same house for long periods of time. There's been news about people getting more divorces now and fighting more than ever. A lot of people are just not used to being with one another. They may have their separate jobs, live almost separate lives all week long, and on the weekends go out and not have to interact with one another a lot. So that is kind of a stretch for a lot of folks, and you have to work on that. So that's why I posted in Instagram a list of things to try doing during the quarantine. So that's it. One more thing. There's anyone, if you're watching this and you have any understanding of Spanish, I did a fantastic interview with a guy in Venezuela, a prepper, a survivalist that's been living there for ever since things went downhill with Hugo Chavez from the beginning. It was a fantastic conversation, 2 hours long. I'm going to be uploading it tomorrow to my Spanish channel. It's in Spanish. The guy does not speak any English, unfortunately, but man, it was a fantastic conversation. When you hear from someone that's been in that mess for so long, there's so many lessons learned and things that you kind of had an understanding of or believe it works a certain way, but it's even better when someone reaffirms those things that you're preaching about for so long. So yeah, regarding what's happening, we have over 1 million people infected. It's really not looking very good. But what is likely to happen in the future? Well, the quarantine won't be lifted until you reach a point of stabilizing the amount of people that are getting infected, and by that I mean less than the moment in which it was first enacted. If you declare that you have to put people in quarantine with an X number of infected people per day, you cannot take that away below you before you reach under that number. It wouldn't make any sense at all. In fact, it wouldn't make any sense at all to end a quarantine when you still have people getting infected and not knowing how that happened, because that means that you still have spots of infection and spread that are beyond your control. You will just sacrifice and ruin all the effort that you made during those days in quarantine or lockdown. So that is important to understand. You will not see the quarantines and lockdowns going away anytime soon until this stabilizes and the government kind of has a better control on what's going on. There's also a chance that this will go very slowly at first. People allowed to go out for a period of time, but still not gather in larger groups, or kids not going to school yet. So little by little, you will see these measures going back to somewhat normal. I don't think we're going to be going back to real normal anytime soon. This is going to be a year and a half of in many ways we will never go back to normal, at least in what we considered normal before this happened. We are going to be a lot more careful in many things regarding our health, sanitation. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more of these Asian traditions of wearing face masks all the time. Talking about face masks, is now being said that yeah, those actually work. Yes, it's not like the World Health Organization has been telling us that they don't. There's also, this is straight out of CNN. This is any idea of mine, but straight out of CNN, experts tell White House coronavirus can spread through talking or even just breathing. All right. So the experts are advising the White House that talking, breathing, those things spread coronavirus. The World Health Organization was just saying a couple of days ago that it doesn't spread through air. Man, if it spreads when someone talks or breathes, I don't know, call me crazy. That seems to be that's going to be spreading some way through the air. Yes, of course, it's not going to be magic, but it's going to be little particles floating. And one of the things I try to insist a lot in my channel, and you guys that have been here for a while know this already, but I insist on making your own minds, having your own thoughts. Don't just go with whatever someone tells you, even if that's the World Health Organization. I mean, man, the World Health Organization is pretty dirty and corrupt, as we've been seeing these last few weeks, months, or even beyond that. But especially with the deal with coronavirus, the way they handle the entire Chinese situation, you would think that they are entirely, completely in their pocket, which apparently they are. So you have to make up your mind. Sure, listen to everything. If it makes sense, if it passes that filter, of course, go with that. It never made sense to me that this was just about washing your hands. I've been very clear about that in this channel for a very long time. You don't have the kind of pandemic we're seeing now just because someone didn't remember to wash his hands, right? It's not spreading only through that. Sure, it could be one of the ways, but that's very much not it. And as we're seeing now, they're admitting that yes, when people talk, when people breathe, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. Why else would we have 1 million infected people right now? Have they all been coughed and sneezed in their faces, or they were all dirty and touching their mouths with dirty hands throughout the day? I don't think that's making a whole lot of sense, especially how it continues to spread. So again, think for yourself, make up your own mind. If you know that you spit a little bit when you talk, and this happens to everyone all the time, you see sometimes when you say certain words that a little droplet of spit comes out. That is visible. You wouldn't believe the amount of small droplets that are invisible floating around for every word you say. Every single one, there's small drops with the virus going to be coming out of your mouth. Even when you're breathing, a particularly heavy breathing that you had, or breathing through your mouth as well when you're agitated, all these things, there's a possibility of a few of those droplets or hundreds of them or thousands of them coming out of your mouth, and someone with bad enough luck may breathe these in. That's why it's important to have those face masks that they told you so many times that you don't need, or even have downright a respirator in your face covering it entirely, especially if you're going to be going to stores, any place indoors where there's people outside, people that you don't know if they're infected or not. They're going to be asymptomatic for maybe 2 weeks. That guy doesn't even know he's sick and he's spreading the disease. You need something to protect your face. You need something to protect when you're breathing. The gas mask makes a whole lot of sense. If you don't have that, you can improvise something. This is the question I'm getting all the time. Fernando, I don't have the equipment. Fernando, I don't have a mask. I don't have a respirator. I don't have even a surgical mask. At least do something. Do the coffee filter thing, for crying out loud. That's at least something. There's experts out there that will reassure you that something is always better than nothing. If you have even a cloth mask, but the coffee filter one was really not a bad call. Was not a bad idea at all. If you have that, you're much better served than having nothing at all, or even having just a scarf, which is very it's very thick in terms of the amount of particles that it actually is capable of filtering. Very few of those. A proper filter, even if it's a paper filter, will be a lot more effective. So guys, that's the update on the situation at the moment. Yes, it will get a lot more complicated. Yes, the economic aspect will be terrible. That is, there's really no two ways around that. About that, it's simply the way it is. There's 6 million people going for unemployment right now. It is going to be a huge disaster. It's going to be a big mess worldwide. So, if you want to learn more about my take on leads on survival and preparedness, do keep in. A lot of folks know about this book, which is, of course, particularly relevant at this point. The Mars Survival Manual: Surviving the Economic Collapse, which is selling, of course, very well right now because everyone is worried about an economic collapse. So, this is the kind of book that you want for an economic collapse. A lot of folks don't know about my second book, which I always insist on because it has a pile of information that is going to be very useful in the coming months or even the coming years. And if you like this book, this one is where I'm actually describing how to do lots of things I explain here properly with the right techniques and good explanations on how to do all of that. So this is the book that if you can only get one book because of economic reasons, whatever, get this one. This is the one you want to get. And if you like this one, do yourself a favor and get street survival skills as well. Guys, gonna see you in the next video. Have an awesome day. Oh, I'm gonna be doing a live stream on a Sunday, okay? Probably 4 p.m. Central Time as well. See you on that one. Take care.